Let's get underway. Lou, you're in charge.
Kia ora. Kia ora e te whānau from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm Lou McInnes. I'm the Director of New Zealand Action on Pre-eclampsia, and it's my honour to be joined by CEO of UK APEC, Marcus Green, and President of Australia APEC, Dr. Lynn Roberts, and our guest speaker today, Mr. Paul Bent, who is author of this wonderful book, Help, I'm Going to Be a Dad. It's my enthusiasm for this was I came across Marcus's A Dad's Chat in the UK, follow his YouTube channel, which has got some brilliant resources, which New Zealand APEC is trying to sort of copy, so to speak, in terms of putting it into our country's context as well. And I was watching this absolutely stunning Dad's Chat where there was 4 or 5, 6 dads talking about their experience of severe preeclampsia and high-risk pregnancies, and I was absolutely hooked and wanted more, and realised that there is a big gap in the dad's voice, which was you know, was like I found this sort of inspiration that I really wanted to share with Down Under. So I got in contact with Marcus, and Paul generously and himself got up early in the UK to share a little bit more experience from a dad's perspective. And more we're getting contacted at New Zealand APEC by dads wanting a little bit more support and the dad's voice coming through, which is something that is often unheard. So I'm really excited to bring this Down Under. We did try it before, but we wanted to get a little bit more participants up, so we're a little bit shy here Down Under. So this evening we're just really happy that we've got it off the ground, and that Paul and Marcus have got up so early for us. And also myself and Dr. Lynn Roberts were in SOMANS, which is the Society of Obstetric Medicine of Australia and New Zealand conference in Adelaide this year. And our audience was very interested in the dad's voice and actually asked us, what are you doing to raise that voice? So we were quite proud to say, well, really happy that you asked, and promoted this webinar. So I found it from YouTube, and I'm hoping others do as well in time, and get that conversation going. And this is a brilliant book. We've had a bit of a giveaway here, some participants, but I want to get my hands on a few more copies. And I absolutely want to get this out there. So that's my goal, and I really appreciate us all being here today. So introduce Marcus, can you introduce yourself?
Well, good morning. Thank you very much for the kind invitation to be part of this today. I'm Marcus Green. For the last 7.5 years, I've been Chief Executive Action on Pre-eclampsia in the UK. We do similar work to our friends in New Zealand and Australia, and it's the most enormous pleasure and privilege to be here today. So thank you very much for inviting us, Lou and Lynn.
Welcome.
Pleasure. Did you want me to introduce myself, Lou? Yeah, Lou did touch on it. I'm Lynn Roberts. I'm the President of Australian Action on Pre-eclampsia, and I've just had a thought that I have the wrong background. I've got the New Zealand slide, but I should have the Australian one. And I've had very little to do with organising this, so kudos to Lou and Marcus for communicating around the globe, getting this together. And I think it's just a great thing that these 3 sister organisations can work together like this and put together something that's important to everyone around the world. And Lou mentioned we were asked at the SOMANS conference about the dad's voice, and it's something that's becoming more aware of, and I think men are becoming better about expressing their feelings and emotions as well, and talking about mental health, which is really important. So evenings like this evening, they're just really going to encourage more of that, which is totally a good thing. And thanks for having me along today, and Paul, can't wait to hear about your book, so looking forward to hearing this story.
Thank you. And Paul, the star.
Yeah, hi guys. Pleasure to be streaming to you guys across the other side of the world. It's early, but happy to get up for obviously an important cause like this. And yeah, humbling as well. Because when I started the journey of writing the book, it wasn't a book at the time, it was just my thoughts. It was my probably a way to vent my trauma experience, and then it just evolved. It definitely just evolved. So yeah, I mean, it turned into something that I thought, oh, okay, help, I'm a dad, help, I'm going to be a dad. The idea came in lockdown, that'd be a cool thing to do, but I never really actually thought I'd actually start doing it. And there's times where you think, am I going to finish this? And I had to pause for a few months, and then all of a sudden something would happen, and another sort of flow of writing would occur. So yeah, in the end, it became like therapy, and then it became like, okay, a purpose of I'm speaking not just for myself. People who have gone through experiences from the dad's perspective, they probably want to hear this too. And I think, yeah, as we've all pointed out, we don't really hear from dads in terms of really pregnancy from a dad's perspective, the experience of it, how we feel at different points of the pregnancy journey, and especially about a woman's issue, really. So I thought, okay, well, let me be the one of a few trying and see where it goes. So yeah, happy to be here, happy to take the questions, and yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
Right, shall I get us underway? Okay, well, first of all, to those of you who are listening to this live, please use the Q&A button. It's at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be very, very happy to take questions throughout and at the end. But I think it would be really helpful, Paul, to start at the very beginning, but to start from today, and let's start whittle right back to the beginning, because as has been mentioned, this is the book, Help, I'm Going to Be a Dad. It's fairly early in the morning, Paul. There's not many people who are getting up in the UK at this time to as blokes to talk about HELP syndrome. That makes you a pretty unusual sort of bloke. So let's go right back to how this started. What happened in your family? Tell us the story, and let's have no holds barred. How did this all come about?
Right. So it started in Amsterdam, is where the starting point for where the journey started taking, yeah, a different direction. So the pregnancy up to that point was fine. We decided to go to Amsterdam as like a baby moon, sort of like the last holiday before sort of like our son was going to be born, which was due February, which was Valentine's Day was when Hunter was due. So in December, mid-December, early to mid-December, we decided, right, let's just go to Amsterdam. We won't take the plane because obviously the heightened risk of blood pressure and things. Let's take the Eurostar. Let's go somewhere near in Europe. Amsterdam was only 2 hours away. We went to the doctors beforehand just to sort of double check, is it safe to fly in? Lauren, she noticed that she was, getting puffy hands and things, and just wanted to check that it wasn't actually pre-eclampsia, because she'd done some research which suggested that it might be. Went to the doctors, they said absolutely fine, no, it's not pre-eclampsia, these are normal sort of signs of pregnancy. So we went, had a good couple of days, and then 2 days before we were due to come back, again, puffy hands, puffy face, and she started feeling the pain in the top right rib area, which we thought, okay, maybe it's just, rest. It got worse, and at night, she was going to different positions to get comfortable. She was running the bath. She was sort of in pain and agony. We then called the UK sort of helpline number to explain the symptoms, and they were like, no, it's probably just you need rest. It's not, it's not pre-eclampsia. So again, that's twice in a short space of time where it's not diagnosed as pre-eclampsia. It's just, don't worry, it's symptoms of pregnancy. It got worse. I said, no, we're not taking any risks or chances. So we cut the trip short, went to back to England, went straight to the hospital. They did what's called observations, and then literally doctor came and said, you are going nowhere to mum. They said, nope. We think you've got preeclampsia. Your body, the vital organs are all over the place. You've got crazy high blood pressure. Your platelets are low. Yeah, you've got too much protein in your urine. All these things. And we're like, what? Preeclampsia? What? I mean, what is it? And so I'm just sitting there like, whoa, okay. We've gone from not even a pregnancy process where she had morning sickness. It was just a nice, smooth journey to all of a sudden, what do you mean we might deliver in a couple of days? What? No, but he's during February. It's now like December. So that part was like a massive shock. And then it became, for me, it was right. Mum, make sure she's okay. Don't worry, it'll be fine. It now turns into forget my worries and fears, where inside I just want to scream and cry because it's a shock as well. But now it becomes, oh no, I'm sure it'll be fine. Don't worry. It becomes sort of like protector character that I went into. So then I realized I established that, okay, we're going to be here for a number of days. They keep her in. They do checks every two hours. The vitals sort of stabilized. But that journey was me sort of laying in the, beside her, and I call it in the chapter, the blue chair. There's like a blue chair beside the hospital bed. That was my home. That was my base. I wasn't going anywhere from that blue chair. In the evenings when the doctors would say, right, it's time to go home, I said, no, this is home. I won't make any noise. I won't cause any issues. Just let me sit here because I'm useless at home. I'll be useless. I'll just be worried, frantic. So went through that journey, and then sort of it came to a head Christmas Eve. So Christmas Eve, so we at this point we'd been in hospital for 3-4 days. So all over the Christmas period we were in hospital. So Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, all the shops were closed, no restaurants. My mum came up with food for us to eat in a waiting area. It was so surreal. It was bizarre. There was couples preparing their hypnobirthing sort of. So we saw couples going in with their diffusers, the music, and these are things that we had sort of planned. We were talking about water birth, all this types of stuff that went out the window. And then Christmas night, things got worse again. It was back to Amsterdam again. So again, pain top right corner. They were like, right, we're gonna do a scan. So we went upstairs, we did a scan. At this point, we're 31.5 weeks along. Baby's okay. And then they sent us downstairs to prepare for birth. So that was now Boxing Day, 26th of December 2019. Went in, they said that only one person could stay in the room, which was me. No, in fact, I wasn't allowed in the theatre room. I was just in a room by myself. They said I could bring someone with me, but I didn't want to. I didn't want that, oh, don't worry, Paul, patting me on the back and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted sort of tranquility, peace, and to my own thoughts. Now, I'm missing out a big chunk of the section. I'm missing a chunk about when the doctors came in and basically asked her to sign documents that said that, if she dies, does she want to give her organs away and stuff like that. And at that point, I'm just like, what conversation are we really having here? It turned into, okay, this isn't just a C-section, this is like life and death. These things happen, complications happen in pregnancy and just childbirth in general. So yeah, to hear her say, will I feel, if I die, will I feel it, is what she said to the doctors. High on morphine at the time, probably not realizing what she's saying, and I just want to burst into tears, but I can't. I remember interrogating one of the doctors in the hallway, and I was like, doctor, she's going to be okay, right? How many, are you okay? Are you tired? Do you need a rest? I don't want a lazy scalpel destroying my world. Like, are you okay? Paul, don't worry. We do this all the time. So I went back into the room, just to reassure her further. Don't worry, he's done millions of these. He says to me, no problem at all. You ain't got nothing to worry about, Lauren. All good. Just to make her feel, it's fine and not be too worried. And when Hunter was delivered, I didn't know whether baby was okay or not. So, I went off with the baby, and I'm asking, oh, how's mum? They're like, sorry, we don't know how mum is, we just deal with the baby. So I'm like, right, am I going left, am I going right? Okay, let me go left with the baby. He's got like a helmet on, tubes, he's attached to a breathing machine. I can't touch him. Yeah, I'm like, this is absolutely insane. I'm happy because, you know, he's breathing. It's my boy. Like, oh my God, I'm a father. Brilliant. Then I'm like, okay, but how is mum? Like, they're not telling me anything. So half an hour later, someone says, look, yeah, mum's okay. You can go in. So I'm like, okay, brilliant. So I'm allowed to wheel her to the incubator. And at that point, I still hadn't realized where he was. So I remember going in with her and I'm looking up and I'm seeing in intensive care. I'm like, oh, right. So, oh, he's sick. Okay. Because at first it's just, oh, my son's born. But now it's a reality of, oh no, he's sick. Like he's not well. And there's other parents in this room sort of sad and not happy. I'm like, okay, this isn't a happy place. I'm not in a happy place. I'm in a place where, you know, it can go either way. And I actually remember seeing around an empty incubator in the far corner. I remember seeing just flowers, lots of flowers. I just saw like a figure just head down, and that was someone who obviously his child never made it. And that was sobering. That was scary. That was just like, wow. Thankfully, after a day or two, he came off the assisted breathing machine and then got moved to the special care unit. Again, there's things like the mum not being able to hold her child immediately after. Like, these little things that we missed, these little moments as a family that we missed. And yeah, I remember when you know, she held him for the first time. Yeah, I was bursting into tears. Like, it just all became too much. Yeah, so yeah. And it's funny because even talking about it, I still get emotional about it. So even though I feel like I've sort of put the therapy in here, when you revisit something, the emotion's still there. It's regardless of where I typed it or wrote it, the emotions, it still lives. So then we started that journey of what pre-eclampsia was, HELLP syndrome. And again, I've missing chunks out. The doctors explained that not only did she have pre-eclampsia, she had HELLP syndrome. I was like, well, what is HELLP syndrome? Is it spelled the same? H-E-L-P? No, and they explained it. And I'm like, right, so that's a severe complication of pre-eclampsia. So great. Not only does she have pre-eclampsia, no, she's got the severe one, HELLP syndrome. Great. And what I did appreciate in that process was one of the doctors who was so direct. I said to her at the start, don't give me any fluff, just tell me direct. And she was just very firm. She was managing expectations. And I appreciate that deeply. So the special care unit situation was, we're in there for a month. And again, that whole journey was just interesting to me. You know, the process of going into the IC one ward, you know, sleeves up, doing the process. It's almost like a ritual that I just got in the habit of doing. You know, I knew all the nurses, I knew all the cleaners, because I've been sleeping there for, at that point, 4 weeks, sort of, you know, just, and that's just who I am. You know, I want to talk to people and, oh, how are you? And I'm talking to other dads and what they're going through and things like that. And especially when I was talking to the other dads, what became really clear is we all had similar themes and experiences of the pregnancy process, feeling like we're not really talked to. We're like the spare part that's, you know, just make sure you've got a stopwatch to count the contractions. You know, make sure you're bringing the bag. That was where our sort of involvement in it all started and really ended. It's really that. It's the experience of being shut out of doors. Not intentionally, because, you know, a lot of this is to do with safeguarding mums. There's, you know, abusive relationships and stuff, but it's still a layer there where it's like, okay, mum, you come through. No, dad, wait. You sit out there, dad, while we ask, you know, whether you hit, beat, or abuse, which again is needed. It's safeguarding, but this is just a layer of when I'm asking a question, they're answering the question back to mum, not looking at me. Hello, I asked the question. I did. Mum, obviously, yes, it's mum, but I'm asking the question here. Can you please at least answer me and look at me? So yeah, and I don't think there's an overall appreciation to the importance a dad has in just everything, life, a family dynamic, the fact that a Father's Day is reduced to probably being the 7th most celebrated, sort of holiday of the year. One is Christmas, 2 Mother's Day. We're just the importance of a dad just in society is not sort of held on the pedestal or the same or even close to mum. And I think that's a problem. It's a problem with absent dads. It's a problem with the role a dad feels he needs to play in the family. Oh, it's just good enough to maybe pay child support. There's loads of just different topics that come off the back of the role that a dad has in a family dynamic. We are the safety blanket. We're the people that when stuff goes wrong, oh, dad fix it, or and in many instances it's mum doing both jobs. So we definitely appreciate that. My mum was one of those who was mum and dad for us. So I know the strength of a woman, but I think I've said this before. Yes, women can be great single mums, and it can be done, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not to be done. Ideally, it's not to be done. I don't think it should be glorified either. I think keeping a family dynamic together is the most important thing. But again, similar themes shared with those dads. It was literally us going, yeah, and exactly, and the frustration because we want to be involved. Like, I wanted to be involved. I grew up not having an active dad around. Knew who he was, time to time he would come, he'd often let me down. I'm waiting at the window, where's dad? Didn't turn up. I made sure I wanted to be so involved. Every antenatal appointment, I'm there. We did a hypnobirth and we did all these different classes. Yes, I'm in, I'm all in. But even my sort of, not happiness or confidence, but even my sort of enthusiasm got chipped away throughout the process of feeling just like frustrated because of just how certain things are set up. And I believe it's getting better. Things like this, I think there's like dad groups now in certain antenatal programs and things, which I think needs to be promoted more. But yeah, I remember one dad who, he was a young guy. I think it was an accident, well, I won't say accidental, but it wasn't planned. They weren't even together. And we started seeing him, and then eventually we didn't see him. And I remember when Lauren was breastfeeding, pumping, his partner said, yeah, we're not together. He's not turned up for the last week to the hospital. Yeah, he's not going to be involved anymore. And now that might have happened anyway, but I'm sure the actual experience of him maybe feeling that men aren't needed probably helped him say, well, I'm not needed. One, they're not talking to me. 2, I can't really do anything. It's all about mum, it's all about mum, the baby and the mum. Bye. So I think, how often does that happen? I think the process doesn't keep us here. It doesn't make us feel like we're here and we need to be here. So yeah, back to the IC, sort of the special care unit. We went through that process. And yeah, it was beautiful. He had jaundice. So we went through that sort of the intensified light situation. He was getting fed through a feeding tube. We had already started doing the syringing of colostrum as well. Expressive. Yeah, it was actually a magical time, but still he wasn't out of the woods yet. He was still very small. We were seeing just other parents going through the same thing, which was quite nice because then there was a solidarity. It was like we're all going through the same thing together. We all knew how each other was feeling against that support network, and I think that was extremely helpful to the whole process. Thankfully, he came home, so that would have been late February, just before lockdown. So lockdown was March, yeah, he came home just before then. But I think the toll of what was happening started to take hold of me probably in that new year, because I was then still having to go back to work. I still got to pay the bills. So getting up in the morning, sometimes going to the hospital, to work, sort of like back to hospital, then sometimes home to get a few hours sleep, and doing that routine, eating poorly, work stressful. I was also selling a property, buying a bigger property, obviously then going through this HELP syndrome, emergency C-section, trauma, basically. then promotion, yeah, at work. One of those things in life can take its toll. Trying to sell is bad enough, buying is bad enough. There's that process of moving. Then dealing with sick baby, pre-eclampsia, promotion. It was definitely a lot. At the time, I didn't think it was taking its toll, but it was. I was getting snappier with people. My mum and sister could see the changes, but I didn't realize. I just thought, guys, like, why are you on to me? Leave me alone. Can't you see all the things I'm trying to do for the family? Like, there's only one of me, you know? I'm trying to keep these plates spinning. Like, you know, sometimes it's just a moment of kindness that I wanted, or just a little bit of appreciation. I remember that came just before we left the hospital. There was this nurse called Tracy, and she never actually looked after Hunter. That's my son's name. Never really looked after him, but she was always around, sort of just checking in. How's things, mum? How's things, dad? She always asked me. She was always asking me how I was. You okay, dad? How's things? Are you okay? Do you want to go for a coffee? And I was like, oh, yeah, well, thanks, Tracy. And I remember she, I think, had started her shift at, I think, maybe 11 o'clock the next day, or sorry, on that particular day. We had spent 2 nights in a special room to help prepare us for leaving. So we had to sort of, bath our son, take care of him, make sure that we're all set up properly to leave. And that morning she came in earlier, so she must have known we were going to leave at like 7 a.m. Now her shift started later, but she popped in this, look, my shift started later, but I just wanted to come in before you go. This bit gets me. So I done a talk with Marcus about a month ago now. Was it 2 months ago, Marcus?
Yeah, we were down in Canterbury, weren't we, Paul?
Yeah, and at the same point,
You're okay, Paul.
it's always the same point that just triggers.
We know, Paul. You're okay.
But yeah, she came to the room and basically came in early on her shift. It's twice, same part. But again, it just shows the importance of kindness. So she came in, and obviously she saw me. Like she saw me. She saw her dad trying to do his best. But yeah, she came in. Look, I know you guys are leaving. Don't worry, you're gonna be fine. Dad, you're gonna be great. It's all that stuff. I think that's what I needed to hear. But even with that, when she left, I didn't show emotion to a partner. I just went to the toilet and just cried for like 20 minutes. Just someone banging on the door. Can you come out, please? I'm waiting to go wee. And I was like, okay, yeah, fine, I'm coming out. But even that, I think the importance of someone just coming, and she went out of her way. She went out of her way. It just wasn't a nurse there going, oh, hi guys, okay, bye. She came out of her way to come in earlier, to check in, say hi. And she wasn't even looking after my son. I think that's what got me. That's what, okay, she cares. And she gave me words that were encouraging just before we were going. So yeah, I mean, I think that was not even a situation that gave me support, but it gave me support just by acknowledging me. So that was good. So then obviously we left, and yeah, but the wounds after that were still there. It definitely caused issues in the relationship, because then there becomes resentment. There comes resentment from both parts. Resentment, oh, you work too much, or resentment of this happened to me. I know it happened to you, but it also happened to me too. I had to help support everybody. And actually, in some respects, it might sound selfish, it happened to you absolutely, but you were knocked out. You were knocked out. The C-section came out. I'm in a room worrying, praying, to praying to God that, forgive me for everything I've sinned in life. Just make this outcome be okay. That's sometimes a different kind of worry, because I have no control over anything. Again, that could be right, could be wrong, but that's how I felt at the time. And yeah, I think then it became a case of I need to sort of not only deal with what happened, but also deal with just trauma in my life, like how I grew up. And actually, I always thought that I wasn't impacted by not having a dad around, but I definitely was. And this manifested itself in different ways, in how I go out in the world and my armor that I put on, and my resilience and determination stuff comes from the fact that I knew I didn't have somebody to fall. I had my mum, but I didn't have like a male figure to sort of, if I climb that climbing frame and fall, dad's going to be there to catch. I didn't have that. So certain experiences, or going to football and all other kids have dads on the sideline supporting, I didn't. And my mum was busy, she was at work. So I don't have that, go on, Paul, go on. It's just not there. Now my son's going to have all of that, and I overcompensate for that, even to this day now. On Sunday, it's funny enough, I went to get Hunter to go soft play, and I was annoyed because his mum had told him that I was taking him soft play. Because there was a week about 2 months ago where I wanted to take him soft play, but it closed. And then I said to him, "Oh, sorry, son, I tried to book it, but it's closed." And his face he was so disappointed. That's a disappointment that I know, because I grew up with that disappointment, which is why I never tell him where we're going until we're there, in case so I don't have to disappoint him. Might be extreme, but that's just, again, the trauma that I suffered, I don't want to then pass on to my son. And there's many instances like that where I may be a little bit too overbearing. It's fine, go on, son, like fly, kind of thing. So yeah, so this book sort of became not only about HELLP syndrome, pre-eclampsia, which is extremely important, highlighting this issue, which is a silent killer. It then becomes yeah, therapy for me almost.
Paul, thank you for that. This is warts and all, isn't it? This is about a birth, but it's also about you, your relationship with your parents, your relationship with Hunter, and your relationship with the health service. And I want to talk a little bit about your relationship with the health service, and what gave you the support that you needed, and particularly that group of dads that you're around in the special care baby and intensive care. How much of a lone voice did you feel that you were, or how much support was there from the other dads that were around?
Yeah, not a lot, not a lot. Again, we all shared similar situations, and that was our support. It was a group of dads in pretty much the same situation, having the same experiences. So that became a support, because we had solidarity, because we'd all have a shared experience and the same outlook on things. In the same way that I suppose if you took 5 mums who all had pre-eclampsia and all had a C-section, and you put them in a room, they'd all have the same or similar experiences, and there'll be a lovely bedrock of support for one another. There wasn't any sort of practitioners and doctors saying, "Oh, well, dads, we often find that, you know, when people go through this, if you want to talk to somebody, here's this person, or here's a number." I didn't get any of that. Oh no, there was no sort of support or talk to this person or anything. It was just, yeah, there was nothing. It was all geared towards, rightly so, look, in many instances, it was geared towards making sure babies are okay, mums are okay, which is absolutely fine, but there was no sort of support for that. There was no one trying to obviously give guidance and things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so your experience was in a pretty large London teaching hospital. It was in one of the primary centres for pre-eclampsia in the UK. So it's where they recognise and they know pre-eclampsia very, very well, and were able to identify it. Once you got through the door of the hospital, they were able to identify it pretty quickly. But what lessons do you think there are that the hospital could learn, or that healthcare providers could learn from your experience?
Yeah, I just think it's a case. I think predominantly it's just explaining when nurses are doing observations or checking blood pressure and things like that. It's important to, I feel, to explain, especially when it's maybe clear there's complication happening, things aren't normal. I think it's important for them to explain why they're doing things. Just so you know, we're doing this not just to check for, they're trying to check for pre-eclampsia. So why not just say that? You're not scaring anyone. It's a standard protocol in place for a reason. So explain to mum and dad that this is why we're doing it. It's to check for preeclampsia, because obviously that's serious and it could just give us context. It's the unknown. And preeclampsia is a silent killer, but also it's a silent killer because no one's talking about it. And the people who know what it is need to talk about it, or else how are other people going to know about it? And it's ironic because since this experience happened, I have obviously been screaming the preeclampsia. Oh, you've got high blood pressure. It could be preeclampsia. And 4 people now that I know that have gone through pregnancy have all had preeclampsia now, and all had to have emergency C-sections. And when they were feeling certain symptoms, I said, go to the hospital now. Go. And so many have thanked me for it because they weren't going to. So yeah, I just think yep, silent killer, but I think the people who are in control of talking about it need to maybe talk about it a bit more. But I don't know whether there's another reason for that. I don't know whether that's because they don't want to scare the parents or worry, but it's not. I think people always appreciate clarity and context as to why you're doing things.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really important, Paul. We've had a comment in the questions from Angela saying, "Doing well, Paul. You're amazing," and I think we'd all agree with that. So thank you for that one, Angela. Let's just talk about how you came to write the book. Why did it become important to get it all written down and get it out there?
I think initially this is an idea that popped up, but then it became a frustration. I was definitely frustrated about certain elements of the process. I felt I wanted to sort of give back almost as well. So it became one thing, and it just started merging into different reasons as to why I have to write this book. I think, and again, I'll touch on why APEC as well a bit later. But I think when you go through things, especially things like the whole hospital, you end up becoming so grateful to the people who obviously have helped, the carers, because they're amazing. Like, I might not have got that sort of one-on-one, "Daddy, you okay? Your daddy, you okay?" How they helped and dealt with my son, and his mum was amazing. Fantastic care. St. George's Hospital in Tooting, like fantastic care for us all. Some, Demi who helps. Like, I mean, she had a catheter, I think it's called, and she was changing it for Lauren. I remember it spilling all over her, and she didn't moan. And I'm speaking. I mean, it's a thankless, something in some respects, a thankless task. But I was so thankful for what they did. So I felt like writing that book, and I wanted to talk about my dad's journey. I wanted to talk about to sort of say thank you. I wanted to highlight HELP syndrome. Now, how I became about APEC is I said, right, as I almost finished the book, I was like, I want to give back. I want to donate proceeds of the sale to a charity, and I want to help in that way. I mean, I found out that APEC worked extremely closely with St. George's Hospital. So I was like, this is beautiful. I mean, this is perfect. This is, they work directly with a hospital that specializes in really preeclampsia and preterm birth. And then a charity, which is the largest at the time that I knew in the UK. So I thought, let me reach out. So I reached out to Marcus and Abby. I first spoke to Abby on the phone, told her what I was doing. She was like, right, hold the line. Then she's put me into the CEO. I'm like, oh God, this is progressing quick. And then told them all about my idea, and Marcus was so enthusiastic and felt like it was something that was needed. And for me too, once I finished the sort of manuscript, to send it through to him. And I think Marcus can then sort of take the baton here and explain the next part, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get lots of calls coming through to the charity with lots of different requests, lots of different experiences, and we're getting an increasing number of calls from partners. So to hear from a partner had, by the time you called, become not unusual. And everybody comes with a different story, with different needs, with something different they're looking for from the conversation. So yeah, Abby, I could hear the conversation going on between you and Abby, and I could see Abby getting more and more excited and more interested in what you were saying. And Abby is brilliant anyway. But she then said, "I've got this guy. I think you need to have a chat with him." So we had that conversation, and we do get some people who approach us who aren't going to follow through on what they say. Let's be honest. But you said you work on the manuscript, and I said I'd love to read it when you're in a position to do so. And you sent it through when it was 90% complete. I think the last 2 chapters hadn't been written, and there was still some tightening up to be done earlier on in the book, and a little bit of editing work. And I just sat down and I read it, and I just didn't stop. I read it from the beginning to the end, right the way through. I thought, okay, this guy is really serious about this. This is a serious publication. This is also an utterly heartfelt publication. And I say on the front cover, it's pacey, hard-hitting, and bittersweet, and a must-read. And I stand by that. That's exactly what it is. And one of our trustees, Dr. Carol Cooper, is a medical journalist. She's a doctor, and she's widely published both for her academic work, for her non-fiction books on pregnancy and birth, and for her fiction books. So I ran the manuscript past her, and again she sat down and read it in one session and thoroughly enjoyed it. We knew at that point we were onto something really interesting. And I think that what we've discovered since this book has come to fruition and since its publication, and it is widely available on Amazon. Here's the advert for it again. That's the book, Help, I'm Going to Be a Dad by Paul Bent. So do get your copy off Amazon. But what I would say is that it's just been a book that needed to be written, that nobody else had thought to write. And there's no other book like it anywhere in the world that gives out that triple whammy, really, of 1, the father's journey, 2, what help and pre-eclampsia are, and 3, the very personal stuff about how it's you and how it's affected you and what happened there. So a very welcome publication, an important publication, and I think one that's going to stand the test of time. So congratulations on that, Paul.
No, thank you. Funny enough, when you held up the book, it just brought about a few other things that it's probably worth talking about. So I mean, the front cover, for one, if you can see it there, obviously there's certain stereotypes. Yeah, thank you, Marcus. Yeah, there's certain stereotypes that just exist. And I was very careful about, right, okay, we don't hear from fathers. Now, in the UK, especially, you don't hear from Black fathers. Absolutely, you don't. Also, there's narrative about, there's a false narrative about, Black dads, we're absent and we don't care, we're not around. That's not true. So actually, I wanted to show that not only I'm a Black guy, but I'm also, a working Black guy, hence why there's the blazer. This is how I dress every single day. But also my son's he's mixed race, so his mum's white. So the front cover shows more than just a front cover. It's showing me a Black guy, it's showing a lighter child. So it's showing, okay, this is a mixed relationship. It's showing masculinity. Why can't I wear a pink blazer? Guys still can't wear pink. So it's just showing a few layers of what potentially might be behind this book, but then also a dad's journey through pre-eclampsia, fatherhood, revisiting his past to face his future. I can't get to where I am now without revisiting and dealing with some of the stuff that I grew up with. Also in the hospital, one of the bits that was troubling was there's the red book. The red book that has all the information about obviously the baby, weight, birth date, that kind of stuff. And a few things happened. One, again, me being probably a bit paranoid. The first one was the fact that on the incubator, it just had mum's last name, not mine. I just thought, baby's supposed to have the dad's last name. Now, maybe that's clear to probably identify mum with baby. Completely get it. I saw it as an act of terrorism. I was like, that's my son. I'm claiming him. Again, probably overcompensating for my fault. I'm claiming he's my boy. So there was that. But then the red book was completely something different. So I remember turning up. Lauren came back from the breastfeeding room. So the pumping room, the milk pumping room, and I saw this red book. I was like, oh, well, what's this? I was like, oh, it's the red book, baby's information. So I picked it up, flicked through, and under ethnicity, they put his ethnicity as white in there. And I was like, who did this? Did you do this? No, I've not seen it. So why have they put his ethnicity as white? He's not white, he's mixed race. Do they not see me here every day? So now I'm like, nurse, doctor, who put ethnicity as white. He's mixed race. I'm here. And also you got to understand from my context, like I've been there ever since I was in the hospital, sleeping on the floor, the blue chair, every single day, morning, night. I'm in there talking to all the nurses, sleeves up, you know, washing my hands, doing all of this. I'm there. So I just saw that as, are you trying to get a rise out of me? Are you trying to, do you want me to show you the angry black man stereotype? Well, one, I'm not going to give you that, but two, this has to change immediately. I think it was lazy to assume, especially as he was so premature and he had jaundice as well. And that, yeah, so elements of the book, I talk about race because then it's actually a topic that Hunter's going to face. He is fair-skinned. An assumption might be that he is white or European, and through his life, he probably will have to justify his blackness to people. He might even be exposed to more racism than maybe if he was fully black and looked like me, because people will be more conscious of what they say in front of me, knowing that I'm black. Whereas for him, they might assume he's not, and he'll be more exposed to racist comments from maybe friends or people who think that he's friends. He might lose friends because of it. So these are just theories, probably real life occurrences that happen that I talk about in the book as well. I did have a few publishing deals from big publishers who wanted me to go more down that race route. But I feel like race was a factor in this whole experience, but it wasn't a main factor that I wanted to push, because this isn't a book for just black people. It's a book for all people, all fathers, regardless of ethnicity. And I think it's a book that actually, yes, it's a guy that wrote it, but I'm hoping, and the reaction seems to be what I hoped, women can hopefully see some elements of the process from a dad's perspective. It gives them better understanding of the things that dad goes through. Because I think sometimes when, you know, mum and dad find out they're having a baby, sometimes women's reactions are like, oh, great, yeah, buggy, no clothes. Generally, a man's first thing is, right, finance. How much can I pay for this? Can I? It's more logical, the pieces of the puzzle, right? That means I've got to work extra shifts because I need to make sure that we've got what we need. And sometimes it might dampen the spirit of, but we're having a baby. Yeah, I know, amazing. But now I've got to think about, and I think it's just two different ways sometimes of looking at things. It doesn't mean that it's how dads we show our love properly. It's through that. It's to provide, to protect. It's not that I'm not excited or that we're not, you know, going to go shopping with a baby as well. It's just we're looking at probably long-term, short. Again, I'm not saying women don't, but I just think, yeah, we think a little bit more differently, I think, about the situation. And maybe this gives a little bit more of a window or insight to what goes through our mind. Because we do care, we're definitely worried. We won't always show it, but we're not showing it because we don't care. We're showing it, but we're not showing it because we do care. We don't want to worry and double down on the worry. We want to sort of take that away so that you can feel unburdened. Lauren didn't need to know that it was stress at work and, you know, I had to get rid of 2 people or there was complaints coming. Why does she need to know that? I'm trying to make sure she's as safe and comfortable as possible. So yeah, and even she has said she had no idea that I was going through half the stuff that I was going on with. But also as a guy, we need to understand that, yes, we don't need to take all these burdens. On the back of the book, there's a illustration here. It's like a metaphor. So yes, it's a birthing bag, but also it's that invisible bag we all carry around with us in life, which along the way we pick up certain stones. That might be heartbreak, that might be health, it might be, you know, bereavements, it could be anything, it could be job, work, because all the stresses and sort of stones, rocks we carry around in our invisible bag. And it's a metaphor that actually, as part of this, I'm just lifting out some of these rocks, I'm just lightening my load, because that has a severe impact on mental health. And I think for, you know, men have the highest suicide rate, definitely in the UK. And a lot of it is because, yes, we definitely don't talk, but it's because of a lot of our rocks we just keep to ourselves. So hopefully this book can help promote conversations.
I think that's absolutely right, Paul. So thanks for that. I do just want to talk very briefly about the race aspect, because this is something we've talked about before and is very much recognized, and not with anger within the book. It's this is what happened, and I think that it's important that we recognize that, especially when in the UK, certainly when you look at the Embrace report, which is the report into maternal deaths in the UK, we do see that more women from Black and Asian and minority groups do have worse pregnancy outcomes and are much more likely to die than white women. So there is a problem there that we need to get to the bottom of. So the way you've approached that, I think, is very much on point and very, very helpful. So I think that's important. But again, this is one of the strands that goes through what is a really complicated. It's an easy read. It's a great book to read, but there are some complex strands going through there, and race is certainly one of them. We're coming to the last 5 or 6 minutes of this webinar, and we've got no questions. So do please, if you're participating, do throw some questions in for Paul. Nothing, as I'm sure you will have noticed, is off bounds today. So Paul will be as candid as he can. Angela's come back in and said, Paul, so amazing to hear about your experience. You need to push for supporting husband, partner, and black, white, and blue. Education is needed, and talking about it is amazeballs, and take it as it comes. I think we can all get behind that one, Paul. I'm going to bring Lynn in, though, at this point. Lynn, from a medical point of view, you've heard Paul's story, you've read the book. What comments would you bring? How would this be different in Australia? How do you think this would be? And you're on mute, Lynn. You're back on mute.
Am I right now?
Yes, you're absolutely fine.
Yep. I think situation in Australia is quite similar to what Paul's described, women's experiences with pre-eclampsia. I just had a couple of comments to say to Paul, and one is Hunter's, what, nearly 4? Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
I think you're going to get emotional telling your story for a long longer yet. I tell my story similar to yours, and my son is now 30, and I still get emotional telling my story. So I actually wear it with pride now. I think it shows we care. We're passionate about the work we're doing in promoting pre-eclampsia and what it is, and you know, helping supporting the families that go through it. The other comment I wanted to say was, it's really sad to hear you say that dads are shut out and left out, and it's clear how simple it was for that nurse to make you feel better. And I'm wondering now if we need to sort of focus on somehow getting clinicians to acknowledge the partners more, and how we can be of more help and be kinder to the dads in the hospital situation, because it's clearly been a traumatic part of the experience for you, feeling a bit left out.
Yeah, I mean, I think just as you're saying this as well, and something I thought about before, and I get I think maybe having the male practitioners, the male doctors, just spend a bit more time with the dads, just because it's okay, we're both guys, like, mate, you know, if you need anything, I'm here. Just those little things can uplift someone. I remember when at work, one of my colleagues, John, it was very bad. His son Oscar was delivered, I think, week 23 or something, week 22. And when I found out that had happened, I got his number through one of the person that works in his office, and I just messaged him, look, John, know exactly what you're going through, sent him pictures of Hunter when he was born with the helmet on and things like that, and said, look, if you need anything, let me know. And I was just checking in every 2-3 days, checking in, and I'm like, great, John, that's progress. That means, great, he's come off the breathing machine, right? Next it's going to be this. And he was just like, oh, Paul, thanks. You don't understand how much this means to me. Said, yeah, look, if you want to cry, mate, cry. Like, get your emotions out. And yeah, he thanks me all the time when he sees me now, because I helped him a little bit through that. And I just think there's easy wins for the the industry that can really help the dads.
I think we need more dads like you, Paul. We actually have a bit of trouble trying to engage dads here in Australia, and I believe Lou has the same sort of experiences in New Zealand. So yeah, we just need more dads like you out there flying the flag and supporting all the other dads. It'd be a much better situation for everybody. So thank you for everything you've done for all the dads out there and the pre-eclampsia community. It's great. It's great what you do.
No, thank you. And this is something that I didn't just do it for the sake of doing it. I did it because I care, and I would always keep doing it. If Marcus and APEC need me, I'm always going to be there if I can. Whether it's getting up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning to get ready. Luckily, I'm thankful he's still asleep. Look, I've got the baby monitor here. I'm just like, right here. I'm like, Hunter, stay asleep. Be good. Stay asleep. He's asleep, because then I'll have to get him up and then take him to nursery shortly. But yeah, no, but whenever I need the point and I can do it, I would always do it. This is now, I feel like I'm a part of something greater than myself. So I need APEC as much as maybe APEC need me from time to time. I need APEC. So yeah, I'm here.
And Paul, you know where to find us, and we know where to find you. And we're hugely appreciative of your support, whether it's that conference in Birmingham or the meeting we had in Canterbury at the Canterbury Cricket Ground the other day. It's hugely appreciated. We're coming to the end of our time together, but I think this was Lou's initiative, so I think I'll ask Lou to round off. But thank you, Lynn, thank you, Lou, and thank you, Paul, for giving up your time today. And this will be going out on YouTube, so we'll be there as a resource, and we'll make sure that Lynn, you and Lou have both got copies as well. So thank you all very much, and I'll hand over to Lou.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm just really thankful that you've come to talk to us down under. And I just want to say the book, I'm going to look at the cover a little bit differently and look closer at this picture on the back. So thank you for highlighting that. So much more meaning than I thought. My final thoughts are that, number one, for a clinician, for a midwife, your book certainly wasn't sugarcoating anything. It was honest, and I think your authenticity is real, and it's not, you're honest. Everything is how it was, and sometimes we have to sit in that discomfort, and a lot of people can't do that. And I'm wondering if that's one of the barriers to speaking out, is that discomfort that we can feel with those points, those many layers and threads that Marcus talked about. You know, it's discomfort for some people, and this is brave, courageous stuff. I learned from your book, Paul, about when you were waiting outside for the cesarean section, you'd gone in, you signed these really massive, big papers about life and death, and it was a lot more emotional in the book. And you were waiting, and nobody came to talk to you about how Lauren was going. So for a midwife who's in emergency cesareans, we do it, as you've mentioned in the book, all the time, and it's our daily business, in a high risk hospital, and we forget that there's someone outside waiting that's not their normal. So that really helped me as a clinician to actually think, okay, we need to actually go and tell the family that things are okay. So that's number one. I thank you for that. And the other thing, as a clinician, as a midwife, around just that emotion that you've portrayed, even on this talk tonight, about just that little kindness of the nurse who said those things of confidence that you're going to be a great parent, you're doing well, keep going. And she, as you say, she might not have even come in that day, but she did, so that made a big difference. So that's those little things for busy health workers just to consider. So I really thank you for that, and for being honest, and for helping us to start a conversation, even if it's uncomfortable for some people, just to that emotion. Yeah.
No problem. No, thank you. It's funny because my mum always said the little things end up being the big things. So yeah.
Yeah, so really appreciate it. And I'll let you get on with your morning because your boy will be getting up, and Marcus, you'll be getting on with your day, and Lynn, you'll be getting on with your evening.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you all very much. It's been a tremendous occasion and a great privilege for the three organisations to come together, and we need to find ways we can work more closely together. Pre-eclampsia isn't a problem for the Western world, it's a problem for the whole world, and we can all learn from one another. So Paul, thank you very much for the sharing and the learning that we're all going to take away from this today. And thank you to all the participants, thank you for your questions, and thank you for joining us. And hope to see you again soon. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.